grab a block and a strap for today's class. If you don't have those, you'll be fine with all the stretches without, but they can be useful for a couple of places. I'll introduce our theme for today as we're getting started. This is our gentle, slow, nice meditative class. We'll add in a few different aspects of the yogic breaths. And for today, the meditation that we're going to be taking through all of our poses and also spending time with this mantra meditation at the end is the idea so hum. This is one of my favorite Sanskrit mantras. What so hum means is I am that and that I am. So I'll talk just a little bit about what this means to me. By the way, this so hum, I love this mantra so much because it mimics the sound of our breath. When we take the inhale, we think in our mind so, and when we take the exhale, we think in our mind hum. And just taking that thought in your mind a couple of times, just notice how so hum naturally mimics the sound of the breath anyways. And so it's just such a beautiful natural breath to take, and it helps to slow us down and calm us down. Now that idea, I am that, what it means to me is that other people are a reflection of ourselves. And so when we start to become judgmental of somebody for some reason, oftentimes, and I think more often than not, we could choose to take that instead as an opportunity to look inward at ourselves. Why am I uncomfortable about that thing that I'm seeing in the other person? What is it about me that they're portraying that I'm not comfortable with? Any sorts of, even pet peeves and habits, all of the things that might irritate us come to us because of our own experiences and our own judgments. And so, if there is no right solidly and no wrong solidly, because there's all the way in between, then it gets us questioning, what is it about me that I'm uncomfortable seeing in that other person? For instance, I'm with this mantra, I'm recognizing I can have compassion on someone when they do something wrong, because I know that within my own self, if I was brought into a circumstance where that was the only option I could possibly see, I could see myself making those kinds of decisions, even though I consider that to be wrong. And so that's the idea. It's having more compassion and seeing a greater connection between ourselves and the other. And so with that idea to help us get started, let's begin laying all the way down onto our backs. We're making our spine nice and comfortable because our spine tends to take on the energy of others, especially when we're irritated and when we're stressed because of somebody else. We'll start to feel that in our back muscles and in our spine. So see if you can allow those muscles to completely relax, at least for this moment in time. And then let's begin those deep inhales and exhales. With any inhale in our mind, we're thinking so. And with any exhale, hum. So, hum. Just repeating that gentle mantra for the next couple of breaths, helping our body and mind connect with our idea for our practice today. Take 2 more breaths. So, hum. So, hum. I am that. Even this very relaxation, I am all of it. So from here, let's begin some of our physical practice. Our first thing, bringing the knees into the chest. We can have a hand on each knee and take a few nice little hip circles. This gives us a chance to check in with the hips and with any tension that we feel. It's almost like with this mantra, we can take just a little bit more responsibility for it. It's like my body is the way it is because of all the thoughts, all the emotions, and all the actions that I've done throughout my entire life. So even if my thought and my intention from here on out is healing to my body, I still take responsibility for all that I've done up to this point, because I am that so humble. Now in today's practice, we're going to be moving through the majority of the muscle groups in our body, moving and helping to loosen up any of the major tensions that we tend to feel in our life. So as we're traveling into this first thing, we're starting at the very tips of the feet. Let this left leg rest down for a moment so that we can extend this right leg up to the sky. And from here, let's start to work through this foot. We're going to transition between pointing the foot and then flexing the toes back, peeling it all the way so far back that you even feel your calf muscles stretching just a little bit. So gently go back and forth, pointing and flexing. And as I do this, I like to work through the toes. So as I'm starting to point my feet, I keep my toes peeled back until the last moment, and then I grab my toes and point them. And then I peel my toes back first, and then flex the whole rest of the foot back. So see if you can add that little intention, that little strengthening to even the very toes. Let's go through 2 more cycles, pointing and flexing. Pointing and flexing. Good. Now 3 large circles. Our toe is tracing a huge circle as if it's a paintbrush, and we're trying to circle it as wide as we can. So pick one direction. The big toe circles all the way around and up. Repeat that same side, 2 and 1, and then reverse. 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. From here, moving just a little bit up the leg. Let's grab our strap if we have one. Set the strap around the ball of the foot. Make sure that your hands are doing some loops around the wrist so you don't have to have too much muscular effort of the arms to hold this up. And then let's begin to extend through the back of the legs. Now as we're starting to move further down the leg away from the foot, what we're trying to get into first is into the calf area. So we need the leg to be straight no matter how far away of an angle your whole leg is making. It doesn't matter too much, but try to make the knee joint straight. And then from there, as you peel the toes and the ball of the foot closer to your torso, that'll help you get right into that calf area. Pausing here, just a couple of rounds of breath. As we travel through our class, you'll notice these major muscle groups, so we're going to get them from several different positions. We're going to try to hit the majority of them while we're on our back, and then hit several while we're sitting, hit them all over again when we're standing, and then start to make our arc all the way back down. So now, trying to keep the calf in this stretch, let's begin to introduce the entire leg a little bit closer to the torso. Not close enough that you have to bend your knee, but enough that you feel the calf in the stretch still, but you now begin to feel the hamstring quite a bit more. So take a few breaths from that stretch. Really good, really deep. Take a moment to bend this knee. This gives the hamstring a break. And now extend the leg once more, even deeper than before. Feel the muscle very, very long and lean. And then from here, completely release the strap. Let's take this right ankle up onto the left thigh and thread our hands around that left side. This one gives us a chance to start getting into the hip. So we worked through the feet, the calves, the hamstrings. Now we're traveling all the way up to the hip. We'll take a few more really good breaths, threading the hands around this needle. Feel the deep breath going into the belly, reminding ourselves once again of that mantra. So, hum. So, hum. One more deep cycle in and out. And then as we start to release our hands, we're going to find ourselves rolling onto the left side body. This gives us a chance to grab the right hand, holding onto the left foot, right hand grabbing onto the right foot behind our back. And from there, we can start setting up into the right quadricep stretch. So that's the front of the thigh. So you want to make sure your head is comfortable, just resting all the way down. Oftentimes, I'll even straighten the bottom leg. And as you start to hug that foot close to the glute, you feel the quadricep muscle stretching. Now, if you can't grab the foot, that's what the strap is good for. Or if you're here and you need more depth, this is pretty easy for you. You can begin to return the right toes down onto the ground. The more the toes swivel out to the side, the more the hips are able to come down. This gets us really deep through that entire right quad. So make sure you find a spot that's not too intense, but you do feel the stretch happening. When you're in that spot, breathe into it. So, hum. I am that tightness that's going on in my body. That's part of me also. For me, I love this mantra because it's an inclusive mantra. They say that the way to get to the oneness, you can either go the inclusive route, where you inclusively add more and more things into who you are until you become one with everything, or you can go the exclusive route where you're nothing and you're none of it. But for me, I'm kind of a glass half full type of person. So I like this inclusive route, including more and more until I'm this expansive being. Take another huge breath in. A nice exhale. And then let's roll back over to the side to free this right leg out. Plant the foot, and then we'll work onto the left side. The left leg begins to extend up to the sky. It's okay if the knee's not perfectly straight right now. We're working on the foot first. Let's point the foot. I like to peel the toes back and then point the toes very last. And then when I'm starting to flex the foot, peel the toes back first, and then the whole foot comes back. Go through the entire foot and feel how after just a couple of rounds, the foot's already becoming fatigued. It's kind of interesting, and it shows us perhaps we don't use all these feet, the muscles of the foot very often, which is interesting because we use walking every day. But there's these little minuscule muscles that love it when we're using it to the full range, just like this. Let's take 3 more cycles of point and flex. So, hum. Last one. So and hum. The huge paintbrush, pick one direction for the wide toe circle, and we go 3, 2, 1, reverse. 3, 2, 1. Good, grabbing onto the strap. Set the strap around the ball of the foot, little loops around the wrists, and use that strap to help us start getting into the calf. Remember, you need to back your leg off to an angle where it's easy to stay straight, and then start to peel the ball of the foot toward you, trying to pull against it until you feel the calf stretching. There's a tendon that connects our calf muscle to the heel. That's the Achilles tendon. For some people, it's very tight. So that could be the limiting factor. So just get to that spot where you're stretching through the muscle, even stretching that tendon out so it can become just slightly more flexible than it was before. Remember, millimeters count in yoga. And here we're breathing. So hum. Trying to keep this calf in at least this deep of a stretch. Let's begin to pull the leg closer and closer. So calf is still stretching out. Now hamstring is there also. Breathing into this new spot. Good, deep, relaxing breaths. Two more cycles. So and hum. We start to release the strap. From here, oh, I forgot, we bend the knee again first. Take a little break from the stretch, and then let's extend it one more time, even deeper than it was a moment ago. Beautiful. Now we can take the ankle up onto the right thigh. Hands thread around the right side this time until we feel that left hip stretching. And just continue to breathe into this stretch. The more I come to learn, the more I realize that I can't put a definition on who I am. The more I try to define myself, the more I put myself into a little box. If I define myself as, a dancer or a yogi or a reader, then what happens, 5 years down the line when you're no longer dancing, you're no longer reading, you're no longer acting or whatever it is, then does that which you claimed that you were become false? It's one of those questions, who am I really if I take away everything that's changeable? That's the so hum that we're trying to touch on today. What is that deepest, indefinable part of who I am? Take 2 more breaths. So with the inhale, hum with the exhale. And then from here, as we begin to release our hands, we're uncrossing the ankle, letting ourselves fall all the way over onto the right side body this time, even extending that bottom leg straight. This makes it possible for the left hand to grab the left foot behind our back. Once you've got that grip, you can check in with your body. Do I feel the quad stretch here? Is this enough stretch? If you need more, you can start to return either a little bit back onto your back or all the way onto your back, depending on how deep you wish to go. Make sure you feel that quad stretch and then breathe into this movement, this stretch. Two more breaths. So hum. And then as we release that, we take both knees back into the chest. Give it a brief hug. And then both knees start to fall all the way over to this left side. We're starting to move up our back into our spine, taking a few good stretches for that area of the body. And already just tuning into the legs, feel how alive they feel compared to when we got started just a little while ago. So many of these muscle groups have stretched to a beautiful extent. So feeling gratitude for all of that, for every movement, every action we can take. Begin to take the knees back up so that they can fall over to the second side. Spine continuing to open and stretch for us. And then when the knees come all the way back up, let's drop the feet down. Take one last moment to take a beautiful lateral stretch, moving up the shoulders and even into the hands a little bit further before we move on to our seated positions. So this one is the shape of a banana. Extend the legs long, cross the right ankle over the left ankle, and then scoot the legs all the way off the mat to that left side. Up above the head, we're grabbing onto the right wrist, scooting the arms to the left. So we're in the huge shape of a banana, everything off to the left. This gets us stretching all the way from the IT band, up the hip, up the side of the waist, and up to the shoulder. That right hand, the one that's being held onto, open and close that hand a couple of times, activating even the finger stretch. Opening as wide as the hand possibly can, and then clench into a fist. Take 2 more of those. Beautiful. Uncross everything, we're turning onto our mat. And then we take the second side. Left ankle crosses over right. The legs scoot to the right. Up above the head, holding onto the left wrist, and then shoulders scoot to the right. Make sure neither hip and neither shoulder is lifting off the ground. All 4 points of those are touching onto the earth, and all these extremities, the arms and the legs, are moving over to the right to make the shape of a banana. Breathe into the side ribs, feel that openness. Inhale, so. Exhale, hum. So, hum. One more breath. And take a few of the opening and closing movements of the hand now. The hand opens as wide as the palm can possibly move and clench into a fist. 2 more cycles. Good. Releasing everything. Come back onto the middle of the mat with your spine. Bring the knees in. And then let's roll like a ball 3 or 4 times to help our spine feel that gentle massage. So, hum. 2 more. Beautiful. Coming all the way up, we take a cobbler's pose. The knees open out to each side. Lift the spine up tall, and let's begin to tilt forward for a moment. In this particular stretch, let's move all the way up to the neck, loosening out some of the tightness that we tend to feel there. So as the head is heavy, weighted forward, let yourself roll the right ear closer to the right shoulder, and rolling back down through the center, left ear over to the left shoulder, and take it at your own pace a few more times. Starting to rise all the way up to sit. Take the legs into just a simple seated position. We're taking alternate nostril breathing here at the same time that we're thinking that mantra. So with any inhale, hum with any exhale. In our right hand, we tuck down the pointer finger and the middle finger. It's going to be our thumb that blocks off the right nostril, and then our ring finger that blocks off the left nostril. A cycle always starts off in the left nostril with an inhale. We close off that nostril, we exhale out the right. We inhale the right and exhale the left. It's like a big rainbow that we're jumping back and forth. We switch anytime we're about to exhale. So we'll take 5 rounds together. I'll guide you through the first cycle, and then use your fingers on the left hand to help you count 4 more rounds. Thinking inhale, so, exhale, hum, you switch. Okay, so we start off plugging off the right nostril with the thumb. Inhale, so on the left. Plug off left, exhale right, hum. Inhale right, so. Exhale left, hum. That was 1 cycle, continue 4 more rounds. Depending on how fast or slow you are, 1 more round. Inhaling left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Exhale left. Dropping the hand down. We tune into our body. Does anything energetically feel like it just shifted for us? Beautiful. Heading up and over onto our hands and our knees. We find some cat-cow spines so that the vertebrae of our back can become just a little bit more loose and back. So take a few rounds. A nice exhale with the cat. Inhale with the cow. Hum. So. Hum. So, 3 more cycles. After that 3rd cycle, take a few breaths just to be in a nice downward facing dog. Make sure that all the fingertips are pressing into the ground to help alleviate some pressure on the wrists. Tuck the toes, start to lift up the feet. And here we're pedaling through the legs. The left heel goes all the way down as close to the ground as it can get. And then right heel. The opposite knee is pedaling. Bending in and then straightening. Take 2 more rounds. And then from here, start to float the right leg all the way up to the sky. Try to step the right foot in between hands, and then drop the back knee down. From here, the first thing we do is start to bring our hands up to the thighs, and then we push the hips forward. This gets us into a really intense stretch on the front of the left hip. stretch. It's more like a fountain than just a collapse in the low back. So the lift and then the release backwards. If you'd like to add hands, you can either take cactus arms, peeling the elbows back to each side, or you can extend the arms up and then trace the hands back. If that's too much pressure for the back, don't worry, you can keep the hands down also. 2 more breaths. So, hum. So, hum. Beautiful. We're heading into a twist from here. If the twist is too difficult, you can just take the left hand with the block and simply reach the right hand up to the sky. That's a perfectly fine option. Otherwise, we're going to try to take the prayer position hands. So the left elbow is trying to slide all the way past this right thigh, and then hands come together to touch in prayer position. As we push down, we spiral the spine, maybe even able to gaze up to the sky. Two more breaths. And then as we start to unwind the spine, the hands plant down to the inside of the right foot. Hips are still pushing forward. And here we're in lizard pose. We can either stay exactly where we're at, or perhaps one elbow drops to the ground, or even to the block, and maybe the second elbow. Beautiful. Start to rise back up. Now straighten the front leg out. If you need a block under your hands, that's okay. We're trying to bow forward without bending this knee. As much as we can peel the ball of the foot toward us as well, that'll help us to get deeper into that calf. From here, send this right leg back. Lift back up to the downward facing dog, maybe pedaling the knees out a few times. And from here, left leg starts to reach all the way up high to the sky. Step that foot in between the hands, dropping the back knee down. Once you've got that set up, we're trying to rise up, hands up onto the thigh. We're pushing the hips forward and maybe choosing one of the variations of arms as we start to lift our spine up and lean backwards. Maybe elbows pull back. It would be a very delicious option so that we can stretch through the pectoralis muscles on the chest. Two more breaths. And we head to our twist. So perhaps the elbow is happy to cross, and we take the prayer position, hands to this side, pushing down. Or perhaps you need the block under the hand. The block is never a bad option. It can be very, very good, especially if the balance is being challenged as it is. 2 more beautiful breaths. So, hum. So, hum. Gently unwind, planting both hands to the inside of the foot. We're in the lizard pose. Hips traveling forward. Maybe some of us want to drop to one or both elbows, and maybe some of us don't, and that's okay too. After the next exhale, hands start to return to the ground. As we shift the hips over the back knee, the front leg is nice and straight. And then we allow ourselves to bow up and over, stretching through the back side of this left leg. Remember again, If you're pulling the ball of the foot toward your torso, that helps to stretch the calf as well, getting calf and hamstring into the stretch. Inhale, so. Exhale, hum. I am that. Beautiful. Start to send this leg back. We're on our knees. We're tucking our toes. And we're trying to sit back onto the feet. Even if you've got your hands forward and you're only sitting back a little bit, that could be all the stretch your feet can take. If you're able to walk your hands backwards, even all the way up to sitting tall on your feet, you choose anywhere in between the spot that's perfect for your body. And we try to take 5 breath cycles, thinking so hum as we're gently stretching through our feet. Your 5th breath flows in and out. We start to drop our hands down in front of us. Start to roll the toes out, feeling that beautiful release. Maybe even pounding the feet out. When it feels like your feet are able to do the downward facing dog again, start to tuck the toes, lifting the hips up high. And let this down dog be about the feet. You roll through them in a way that's helpful for those freshly stretched feet. Whenever the body is happy with this down dog, let's begin to make our way up toward the top of the mat. In a nice forward fold. Feel your spine releasing nice and heavy. With our next inhale, we rise up. Take all the time you need to make sure you don't get a head rush. And hands join together in front of your heart. Take a little bonus breath to give ourselves the chance to connect again. So, hum. Beautiful. With our feet so alive after that last stretch, we're now going to place our block on the mat in front of us. A nice low height that's only a couple of inches high. And we're using that block to help us stretch through the calf. So my left foot is a good 2 feet or so behind the block. And then my ball of the right foot is being propped up by the edge of the block. This helps to make it so that I've already got that tilted action going on to my calf. And so as I head toward pyramid pose now, I'll start to feel that stretch going on. The back knee can be bent or straight, whatever's best for your balance, but the front leg stays very straight. So from here, start to slide the hands down the thigh. And maybe already you're in a good stopping spot. Some of us might be sliding down to the calf, down to the block, or down to the floor. So it's your choice how deep you go. Just keep the front leg very straight as you enjoy that really deep calf stretch. We bend the knees to give ourselves a lower center of gravity to help us roll up to stand. And then we switch the feet out. So now it's the left ball of the foot on the block. It's the right stepped back exactly where the left was previously. And then keeping the front leg straight, we start to bow forward. Remember, you can have hands on thigh, on shin, On block or on floor, the one spot that's not allowed is to leave the hands locked at the knee. The knee does not need extra pressure here. Another breath in and out. So, hum. Bend the knees and then roll the spine back up to standing. From here, let's roll through our feet. So one foot goes all the way to a point, and then as we slowly step the toes down, and then the ball of the foot, and then the heel all the way down, we switch to the other. Heel lift, and then ball of the foot, and then toes. So it's a quicker action, but that's what I'm rolling through, the entire foot. Let's go 3 more each side. 2, 1. Beautiful. Stepping wide onto the mat. We turn the knees outward. The toes are about a 45-degree angle, and the knees track over the toes. They don't fall inward. This helps us to get better into the hips. So keep our posture stacked upright for now, and start to sink the hips lower and lower. Hands are welcome to be down on the thighs, and just feel the inner thighs stretching out for us. From here, to get a little bit deeper, bring your hands just in front of the knee, and then we start to lean the torso forward as the hips go backward. This helps us sink even deeper into the hips. Moving up the spine, drop the right shoulder down. Maybe even gaze up to the sky, including the neck. And left shoulder down. Going with the right shoulder once more. And left shoulder. Beautiful. Straighten the legs, turn the toes all to the long edge of the mat or slightly tucked in. Clasp the hands behind your back. Pull your arms into a beautiful shoulder stretch behind you as you bow forward. Leg stretching and shoulder stretching all of it at the same time. Can the weight of the head remain heavy? Breathing so. Hum. You're welcome to keep your hands there or drop them down at any time, finding a helpful spot, perhaps grabbing onto the ankles, pulling the elbows to each side as you pull the torso inward. Dropping the hands down, start to bend the knees. Hands rise up to the hips as we roll our spine back upright. Start to heel toe the feet in. And then from this spot, we've got one more stretch while standing. You may want the block in front of you for balance, but you don't have to. With this one, we cross the right ankle over the left ankle, and we start to bow forward. What this does is stretch the IT band of the back leg. We begin to release all the way up and over and breathe. To rise up, uncross the feet and then roll your spine up. Switch it out, left leg crossing over, pinky toes are close together, and roll all the way back over into the stretch. Good. Good. Uncross the feet again, roll back up. And once we're up at the top of the mat, let's circle our arms through the side, stretch up, even an arch back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, long spine. Exhale, hands start to make their way down, walking our feet back through a plank position or kneeling plank. We lower our belly all the way down to the ground. Once we're there, our left arm goes straight off to that left side. Our left cheek rests down onto the ground. And then we press into our right hand to help stretch the left shoulder out. The hips perhaps stack. Some of us can go this deep. Some of us can even plant the top foot behind our back. For some of us, that's a little too far, so no pressure if this is too much. Good. Hips start to return back down, and then switch off the arms. Our right arm is off to the side, our right cheek is down, and then we press into the left hand, finding whatever depth is available on this side. Maybe the hips are stacking, and maybe the top leg rotates to plant behind us. It's really up to your shoulder about how deep you're going. Another breath in, so. A breath out, hum. And start to drop the hips back down. Press up and go into a nice child's pose, the knees extra wide. And then hands walk forward in this child pose. From this position, we're going to take the shoulder stretch to the other direction now. So from here, the right arm is going to thread under the left armpit. We try to get the side of the shoulder to set down, and even the top corner of the forehead gets to set down. Unwind the right arm, and then thread the left arm under and through. And unwind that side. Walk the hands back in. Sit to one side of the feet. And we've got one last little hip stretch here before we start to head down onto our backs. And so with this hip stretch, we're going to have the right leg swiveled open. So the right knee is to the right, the right foot is to the left. With the right knee taking that 90-degree angles, we tuck the left foot backwards. So it's the inside of the knee that's down, the toes are tucked in. From this position, it's almost like a little pinwheel shape with our legs, everything taking this left hand circle. From this position, we're going to take a quad stretch for that left side. So we start to plant our hands behind us, and we tilt our spine backwards to the point where we feel that quad stretching. So some of us, we're already there. Some of us just need to drop down to the right elbow, and then all of a sudden you're there, you feel it. A little scoop of the tailbone under and up can be one last thing that helps us out here. Beautiful. Press into the hands to rise back up. Now we lean forward. You've got three options you can take. Leaning forward over the angle of the right thigh is the easiest direction. Leaning forward toward the middle of the shin is the second option, a little bit deeper. Swinging this left leg all the way behind you into pigeon pose is the third option. Choose your option. We've got a couple of breaths in this pose. Now rock onto the right hip, and we'll swing our legs to plant, feet in front of us. Do 2 or 3 windshield wipers, knees left, knees right, and maybe another round. And then ultimately we need to take the second side. So now it's this left shin that's in front of us. The knee's just simply opening out. Right knee is the one that tucks behind us. So this helps set up that right thigh for the quad stretch, hands planting behind us. If that's enough stretch, just stay. Some of us will be dropping down onto this left elbow or scooping the tailbone under and up. So whatever variation you need to do to get into the stretch, start to take that now. And start to rise up. We're leaning forward. Option 1, over the angle of the thigh. Option 2, over the middle of the shin. Or option 3, straighten the right leg behind us for pigeon pose. Two more breaths. Rock onto the left hip, both feet plant in front of you once again. 2 or 3 more windshield wipers. And then from here, we begin to roll all the way down onto our backs. If your body is already telling you that it's tight and it just needs one last stretch, feel free to take any of those last movements until your body is able to find a comfortable version for Shavasana. And your Shavasana can look like any version of Shavasana, any variation, such as feet planted or a bolster under your knees. There's all sorts of variations. Find your variation that will help you remain comfortable for the next several minutes. And here, our Shavasana will be our final meditation for this gentle class. Our intention is to maintain the So Hum mantra as we travel through our Shavasana. Now, for the first couple of rounds of this, I'm going to throw out examples, just examples that pop into my head of I am that. I can see that within me, that potential. I can become really anything, and so all potentials are within me, and I see that. I am that. And so I'll give a few examples. From that point, when I finish, you're welcome to continue to think up your own So Hum examples, or simply remain in that beautiful stillness of the breath. So taking a deep inhale, So Hum. I am the wife, the daughter, the child. So Hum. I am the cook, the cleaner. So Hum. I am the teacher and the student. So Hum. I am the boss and the employee. So Hum. I am the craftsman and also the purchaser of the craft. So Hum. I am the creator and the destroyer. So Hum. I see all potentials in me. I am that. So hum. And continuing with this meditation for the next few minutes of Shavasana, continue to let that breath flow through us. So hum. Now from here, begin to deepen your inhales and your exhales, once again connecting. So hum. Starting to introduce little movements back to fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. Stretching out like we're waking up first thing in the morning. Eventually rolling over to a nice fetal position on one side. And from here, take maybe 2 or 3 more breaths until you feel ready to rise up to a comfortable seated position. When you do start to rise, join your hands together in front of the heart. And remember, once again, I have infinite potential. Who I truly am, the part of me that never dies away, that part of me cannot be defined. It doesn't fit into a box. And so because of that, so hum, I am that. And so with this mantra, this beautiful, spiritual, deep, deep mantra in our minds, continuing to lead us forward into this marvelous day, let's wrap up the time we got to share together this morning with the sound of Om. Inhaling together now. Om. May we be filled with light and happiness and peace. Namaste.